Yo, what's good? It's Trouble T Roy. Hit, don't get hit, boxing talk. I just want to talk briefly, real quick tonight, or today, I should say, about these four belt organizations, or AKA sanctioning bodies, and how corrupt they are, and why they fuck up boxing. And I'm just briefly going to speak on this, and I'm going to target the WBC and Mauricio Sulaiman. So, I just finished watching, or not watching, but listening to a video. Shout out to Broadway Joel. He had an interview with Mauricio Sulaiman, I guess about 3 days ago. And good interview. He had he kind of came at Mauricio with the right energy, I believe. He tried to, he came at Mauricio like, look, you're gonna have to explain yourself, because a lot of the shit that you're saying isn't consistent, or it isn't right. Now, Mauricio, during this interview, I suggest y'all go check it out. This is my first time ever listening to anything by Broadway Joel, but because he is a journalist, he said he actually studied journalism in college. So, sounded like he knew the right things to ask and the way to approach Mauricio. Mauricio was getting frustrated with a lot of the questions, but it's like, bro, people need answers. You have this going on, you got that going on, you got this over here and that over there, and nothing's adding up, So, I mean, basically, like I said, go look him up, Broadway Joel, and look up the Mauricio Sulaiman interview that he did with him just recently, 3 days ago, and just take a listen, and you can see the energy that's being, provided back and forth. And you can understand why it's a pretty good interview, and the way that he approached Sulaiman was pretty good, I think. Joel, he stuck to his guns. He didn't, he was patient with him. He let him speak. He didn't over talk Mauricio or all that. And Mauricio, he was getting pretty frustrated with the questions that was being asked, which I was like, okay. And which Mauricio, you already know that's he don't like being asked a lot of questions, especially when it's challenging his the things that he's done when it comes to the WBC sanctioning body and his decision making. So he touched on one thing. The main thing that actually brought me to the interview is his question about Devin Haney, and if Devin Haney is going to have to choose to fight Shakur Stevenson, who is his mandatory at 135, or he was going to have to give up the belts, or at least give up that belt at 135 to go up to 140 and fight Regis Prograis. That was the options. That actually is the option that they said that he was given, and today is the day that Devin Haney has to make that decision. So I would suggest y'all be looking out on Twitter for that. There's been talk about Devin Haney throughout the week about him fighting Regis, or fighting staying at 135 and fighting Shakur. Let's see, it was Regis, Shakur, and who was, I can't remember who else it was. It was a third person. But basically, yeah, that's the decision that he has been told that he has to make with the WBC. Either go up and fight Regis, or stay at 135 and fight Shakur, which is don't know which way would be the better route for Devin Haney to go. Me personally, I think Shakur beats Devin Haney at 135. That's just me personally. I think going up to 140 and right away fighting somebody like Regis Prograis, even though Regis Prograis didn't look great in his last fight, but he didn't get hurt or beat up in his last fight. He just didn't look great. And I think that just comes down to adjustments that need to be made by Regis. I don't think taking the Regis fight is very smart. At the same time, I think that's a very dangerous fight for you coming up to 140, and your first fight is against the WBC champion, Regis Prograis. I think that's a dangerous move as well. So either way, it's going to be interesting to see what Devin Haney decides. But the only reason I bring that up mainly is because it's funny now we can get to Jamal Charlo. Matter of fact, actually, we could get to Jamal Charlo. Now, Jamal Charlo came up to 160 a few years back. He was an interim champion, but as I believe Canelo moved up, either it was when he moved up or he took the I believe when he took the franchise WBC championship belt, which was bullshit. Now, one thing I'm gonna say about the franchise WBC belt, it's funny because we're talking about Mauricio Sulaiman and the WBC and their fucked up rules that they continue to make as they go. The franchise WBC belt was it was not a belt. It wasn't a part of the 4 belts. It wasn't a 5th belt or nothing like that. It wasn't a replacement necessarily, a replacement championship belt for the original WBC title. The franchise belt was an award. It was an award that is basically given to a fighter as a token of appreciation for being ranked and fighting and being a part of the WBC belt association, basically. Like it's it's a trophy. It's not a belt that you just go. It wasn't supposed to be. Let me break that down. It wasn't supposed to be a belt that you could go and defend. You was not meant to have mandatories. You was not meant to defend the belt. When Canelo got that belt, that's what happened. He wasn't meant to defend it. It was a trophy to Canelo for being a part of the WBC ranking system and being a champion with the WBC for however long and defending it and doing the things that they felt that he needed to do with that belt. And it was a token of their appreciation to Canelo. And Canelo eventually ended up deciding to give it up. You know, he had some issues with the WBC. He decided to give that belt up, and he decided to move up to 168. But during that time, Jamal Charlo was made the WBC champion from interim. He was elevated to the WBC champion. Okay, and since then, he's defended that belt, I don't know, 5-6 times or something like that. And we'll get back into that. But going back to the WBC franchise champion, Vasil Lomachenko was also given that same trophy, the WBC franchise championship belt. I don't even like saying championship belt because it doesn't make you a champion. It's just a trophy, once again. But where the WBC fucked up is when Lomachenko received that belt when he fought Teofimo Lopez Jr. and he lost to Teofimo Lopez Jr., he lost the WBC franchise belt, which didn't make sense because originally you couldn't lose that belt. You're not meant to fight mandatories and you're not meant to defend that belt because it's a trophy and it's a token of appreciation for your success while working with the WBC. Okay? So why are you losing a trophy for something that you earned for the work you've done with the WBC? They gave that belt to Teofimo Lopez Jr. Didn't make any sense. Literally, they just backed off on their own rules and stripped that man of a trophy, the thing that he earned for what he's done in his career, and gave it to Teofimo Lopez. Didn't make any sense. Which I feel bad for Lomachenko because he just can't really get a break. You know, I feel bad for dude. You know, so I mean, but it is what it is. You know, but once again, that's the WBC being the WBC. Just corrupt as a motherfucker. Okay, so now going back to now that's just a little history lesson right there. I can't think of anybody else who actually ever received the WBC franchise belt. I think they was trying to give one to Deontay Wilder at one point, but I believe I think he was trying to get one for defending his WBC heavyweight championship belt so many times. I think he's defended the WBC heavyweight championship the most in history, if I'm correct. I could be wrong, but I believe I'm right. Somebody could correct me on that if they need to. But yeah, I think he was the only other guy that I remember possibly getting the chance to receive a WBC belt. I think he was asking for it, if I'm correct, and things didn't work out, obviously. That whole franchise shit went out the window not too long ago. Well, not actually a while ago, but you know. So back to Jermall. So basically, once again, I hope you guys go and watch that fight, Broadway Joel. I watched that fight. Watch that video of Broadway Joel interviewing Mauricio Sulaiman. He touches on Jamal Charlo. I think actually Sulaiman brought up Jamal at one point. I can't remember. It was I only watched it. I only listened to it one time. I'm probably gonna go back and listen to it again to get more detail, but this is just off of a first listen. He talks about Jamal Charlo, and he talks about Jermell as well. He says basically the reason that Jermell is getting the fight is because he's been chasing Canelo for years, and you know, Jermell is also obviously willing to come up to fight Canelo, finally fight him or whatever. And he also brings up that Jermall, you know, he's dealing with his basically Joel asked him, why is Jermall not being put down as a champion in recess? Which is basically they take the belt from you. You're not a champion, so to speak, but when you are ready to fight, you got first dibs on fighting for that belt. Once you are ready, if you're injured or you're dealing with something personal that is keeping you from fighting, once you are ready to come back and fight, you are first in line to fight for your belt and get that belt back, because it's still your belt without being your belt. You basically are just saying, look, I'm gonna let this guy, this other fighter, I'm gonna let him hold it, but when I come back, me and you, we're gonna have to squabble. I'm taking that belt back. I'm getting the opportunity firsthand to get that belt back. That's a champion in recess. So unless there's different rules to it, I don't know the other rules to it, because it's kind of rare that you actually get champions in recess. So from what I understand, that's what it is. If I'm wrong or I'm missing any details, you guys let me know in the comments. But yeah, so Joel asked Mauricio, like, why isn't he just being put in the position where he's a champion in recess? And Mauricio's answer is basically, well, you know, the reason he's not fighting right now after 2 years and going, 2 years plus basically, and still going. Oh, well, he's, you know, the reason he had to stop fighting is because he got injured. And then, you know, after he got injured, you know, later on down the line, within the 2 years, he started dealing with mental health issues. Like, okay, here we go with the mental health issues thing again. Now, it's just funny how a lot of these boxers are starting to use this excuse to not fight, and they're getting away with it. That's just weird, because now you have Al Heyman or whoever is dealing with Jamal firsthand when it comes to the money and everything. They're paying for this belt. Why? They're paying for this belt because they don't want the belt to leave PBC, obviously. I think that's obvious. But that's how PBC works. That's probably how all these different companies work, but PBC is kind of notorious for certain things like that. When it comes to WBC and the WBA, they are willing to pay money out their ass just to make sure they keep these belts. Now, Jamal ain't fighting, which means he's not making any money. So Al Hammond or whoever is behind Jamal, is coming out their pockets because Jamal ain't bringing no money in. So they can't be sending money. They can't be sending money from Jamal out. So somebody is trying to keep Jamal in the loop. You know what I'm saying? And basically, Joel asked Mauricio. He said, "So, do you know for sure that that man was injured and that he also has a mental health illness? Like, do you have it documented? Is there documentation?" Which I always say, I'm sorry. I understand mental illness is real. I definitely understand injuries are real. But especially with the mental illness thing, so many of these fighters is coming out talking about they can't fight because they have mental illness issues, but yet you get on social media, Instagram, Twitter, or whatever, and they talking all this shit. They going on trips, happy as fuck. They on Twitter talking shit. You know, they drinking, some even getting high, all this shit. We just seen a video of Jamal just recently, him at must have been a bar or something with some of his friends or family members. And he drunk as fuck. Come on, man. Ain't nobody stupid. That man could barely even talk. You know? And key things. If I own a belt organization, if I own a sanctioned body or I'm in charge of a sanctioned body, I'm looking at stuff like that. Because guess what? When it comes to people like me and others who have to work 9 to 5s or, 10 to 6s or whatever, we put stuff like that on social media. Guess what a lot of these bosses are doing? I remember my mom warned me, like, look, don't be posting stuff on social media that you don't want your employers to see, because they will use that shit against you, especially if something goes wrong or they don't like your actions in general. They get rid of your ass. There you go. You know what I'm saying? They'll get rid of your ass. For real. That's just real. People have been fired, let go, terminate, whatever you want for less. They will look into your shit, be like, okay, we see what you're doing when you're not at work. We see why you're not showing up to work. People like us, we can't do shit like that. And then still, I ain't no millionaire. I ain't even close. A lot of people I talk to here and there about boxing, we ain't millionaires. We look at this dude, he just went through his divorce. He got custody of his kids. So what is your problem? What's your mental health issue? I understand you've been with that girl for quite a while. That's understandable. I understand. I've been divorced too. I understand the feeling, but guess what? I couldn't stop working. I had to still go to work. Knowing how fucked up I was feeling, how depressed I was, all that shit. I'm just being real. I still had to get up every day and go to work. And you don't even know my situation. My situation was fucked up. I ain't gonna talk about it on this motherfucker. But real people have to deal with real shit. Why don't these motherfuckers who make millions already, who get our money, who get our support and get support that they probably don't even deserve, why they get to take vacations? Why they get to say, I have mental health issues and then take vacations? I'm sorry, that's not really fair. I ain't gonna hate on the player. You know what I'm saying? I do hate the game, but guess what? The player's just doing what he's doing, what he's supposed to do. He playing the game. It is what it is. But you're not going to sit here and Mauricio talk, yes, we do have documentation and blah, 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 all that stuff. It's like, nobody believe that bullshit, bro. Oh, and let's not forget, before I forget, what the champion, the WBC middleweight champion, Jamal Charlo said, him and his family member or friend or whoever that was. Let's not forget what they said.
Hey, why they mad at me? Why they mad at me? Still the champ, man.
They mad cause that nigga still the champ, nigga. That's why you niggas mad, nigga. He ain't gotta fight, nigga. Nigga still the champ.
I'm still the champ, you pussy ass niggas.
Lame, nigga, you lame, nigga.
You lie. That nigga, he lies about everything. Like the whole interview, you can watch the whole interview. It just sounded like he was lying. And then they bring up, okay, so that's Jamal Charlo, that bullshit. Oh yeah, so he's documented mental health issues, blah, blah, blah. Then they go into Tyson Fury. And I'm not saying this is all in order, but I am going to say, yeah, this is a lot of bullshit. In my opinion, there's a lot of bullshit. But, you know, it's just funny listening to the whole thing. Mauricio keeps using the word, we're being consistent. We're trying to maintain our consistency. We're trying to make sure we stay consistent. But it don't sound like anything that he's been doing, especially over the last few years, has been consistent. You get into Tyson Fury. You know, they talk about, oh, well, Tyson Fury doesn't have no mandatories due. He gonna go and fight old boy from the UFC or whatever. And he ain't got no mandatories due right now, so it's okay for him to go do that. And that's not for the belt, which makes sense. Because old boy ain't ranked. He said he's not ranked, so he's not fighting for a belt. This is just a special event. That's what he said. Makes sense. I agree with that. He shouldn't have a chance at taking a belt when he's never fought under the WBC, nor is he a boxer or any of that. You know what I'm saying? But he also says, well, you know, Tyson Fury, he tried to fight Anthony Joshua. He tried to fight Usyk. And blah, blah, blah. They didn't want to fight, or he couldn't get the fights done. They didn't want to make the fight. It's like, dude, you offering dudes. This man, I wasn't even going to talk about Tyson Fury no more. This man making offers and saying you got a week to accept. When the fuck have you ever seen anybody make a fight in a week? When has that ever even been a thing? You have a week to reply and accept this fight. Otherwise, I'm moving on type shit. Get the fuck out of here. But once again, your boy Mauricio Sulaiman, he supports the bullshit. It's hard to believe that man. I think he's a fucking liar. That's just me. Me being a man, a fan of boxing, a man with an opinion. People don't like my opinion a lot of times, and I really don't give a fuck. I just had to tell somebody that earlier yesterday. It's funny that you are telling me what I am allowed to have an opinion on. I don't give a fuck what you think about my opinion, because guess what? I don't know you, and what you think doesn't affect me. What you eat don't make me shit. Okay? So, you know, it is what it is. I'm just saying. So, once again, like I said, all the fucking sanctioning bodies to me are corrupt one way or another. It's just a couple of them to me, which happens to be the first two, which WBA being the first sanctioning body in boxing, and the WBC being the second sanctioning body in boxing, are two of the most corrupt to date, as far as I'm concerned, you know. But all of them are just fucking corrupt in their own ways, so it kind of don't matter. This is just a game of corruption, really. It's like, do you want to play or you want to just leave it alone? You know, and you know, it's just a part of the game. It's one of the things that make boxing what it is. It's a bunch of corruption. Two motherfuckers with gloves on their hands beating the shit out of each other, and then add a side of corruption and a fucking large Coke. And I can say Coke. I ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna get anyways, though. But anyways, man, this is Trouble T where I just wanted to touch on that real quick. Don't get hit boxing talk. You know, I didn't expect the video to be this long, but hey, if you stick around and watch it, enjoy it. Once again, go check out Broadway Joel's YouTube and look up the Mauricio Sulaiman interview that he did. And I'm already going on 24, 25 minutes. That's how you know I had some shit to say, but it is what it is. Y'all ain't even gotta watch the whole shit, but it is what it is. Trouble T. Roy, hit, don't get, Box of Talk, like, comment, share, subscribe, and all that good shit. All right, y'all, peace.